what are we doing today? Today, we're making soft cheese because it's part of my New Year's resolution. Yes, I'm starting my New Year's resolution early, but that's because I know that habits are formed by repetition. So I ran out of cheese, and it was actually already homemade cheese I had made, but I'm out and I wanted to barter some items with the deer hunters because they said they had venison chili for me, so I'm going to give them homemade potato soup and some cheese. So this is just soft cheese. I'm not that expert at making the solid cheese, plus you have to wait for it longer. And and it's super simple. It's almost like my 2-ingredient rule. It's milk and vinegar, and that's what curdles the vinegar, curdles the milk, and whatever kind of herbs or spices or anything that you want to add as a flavoring. So let's get going. So I've already poured milk in the pot just to speed things along a little bit. And I haven't been able to source raw milk yet. And I have done it with ultra pasteurified organic milk, but that really doesn't work. It winds up being super crumbly, which was actually still good. I put it on salad, but it didn't come out like a solid like I had hoped. And I mean, perhaps it was another mistake I had done or something, not really knowing. So you just pour the milk in. I use a stainless steel pot. That's kind of like the standard. You need to kind of use stainless steel with cheese making, I believe, and a wooden spoon. So my thermometer broke. I don't know. It starts at like 200 and it'll increase, but I don't really trust it. So I've already done it where I kind of just wing it, and I put my finger in and see if it's like uncomfortable. And when it's uncomfortable, that's when I add the vinegar, and it's already uncomfortable because I had already begun this a little bit before I started filming. So then you just take straight white vinegar and you put, for 1 gallon of milk, you put a 1/4 cup of clear white vinegar into the pot. And then you turn it down on a medium heat. That's actually kind of key. It seems to make it curdle better. And then you stir. And what you're looking for is the milk to curdle, and it like separates, and you'll see kind of a transparent, slightly yellowish tinge to the fluid part. And that's when you pretty much know you did it right. And so I just kind of continue to stir because I'm trying to evaluate whether those curds are forming the way I want them to. So you can see right here it's beginning to curdle. And it will, I stir, I just make sure that I don't, I mean, the key with this whole thing is to make sure you don't burn your milk. So it's a pretty quick process. So it's beginning to curdle more and more, as you can see. But I still don't quite see that transparent separation that I'm expecting to see, or that I actually want to see. So it doesn't take very long. I would say about 5 minutes of kind of waiting on it. And right now, because I've stirred it, it's still like rotating within the pot. And again, it's on medium heat, which seems to really, I don't know, it just helps with the process. And I'm not really sure why, but it does. I've done this cheese about twice now. And the first time was really experimental. And that's when I used the ultra pasteurified organic milk, but I didn't want it to go to waste. And the milk was about ready to go. And then the other 2 items that you need is a strainer, because when you pour the milk out and you're trying to separate the curds from the whey, you want to have a mechanism for that. So I'm just going to put that there. And I'm going to wait for that transparency to appear. So this is more or less real time. And I can actually almost see it happening. And if you don't get that, you just add a little more vinegar, which I actually think I'm going to do because it hasn't quite curdled to the point that I'm satisfied. So I'm just going to add just a little bit more, and that'll speed up the process. I think I recall doing that last time. But should have, no worries about it not working, because it works. It's a really simple process. Amazingly simple. Because I was buying like mozzarella balls and olive oil, and they just have like spices in that. And I would add that to salads because it really made it like gourmet. But it was quite expensive. And from a gallon of milk, and I get about, I would say no less than 1.5 pounds of cheese, if not 2 pounds. And you'll see when I show it to you how much that looks like, and how solid it looks and all that. So I'm just stirring it and making sure that it's going to get there. So the process results in this. See how you can see that kind of yellowish tinge to the fluidy part? That's what you're looking for. Now it's time to go ahead and pour it through your strainer and separate the whey from the curd. So the whey is what they use in whey powder drinks for weightlifters, and that's what the yellow fluid is that drips from your curds. So at this stage, this is when the cheese is actually forming up. This is right when I start adding my spices, because you're going to eventually wrap it in your tea cloth. So this is when I add my garlic salt and my other salt. And this is a very mild, bland cheese, so you're pretty much adding the flavor. At this stage. So you mix it up thoroughly so that you disperse all the different flavorings. Now you can add rosemary or even chopped olives. I did horseradish cheese, and I should have added more, but I was scared that I'd overpower it, but I didn't. So I would just say rule of thumb, add a little bit more than you think that you should, because it needs quite a bit. Now with this particular cheese, I'm going to add some liquid smoke and see what happens, which I've never done before, but I kind of want to try it. I want to see how it comes out. So you can see that it's easily formed up, and I'm just going to add a little bit more garlic salt to the mix here. Mix it in. Now the whey you can feed to your animals once it cools off, or put it on your plants, because there's like quite a bit of protein in there. And also, if you're baking, you can add it as a substitution for the water, and you're getting the extra nutrients out of that. So since this is liquid smoke, I'm just gonna put it over the sink here so I don't make a total mess of it. And it's gonna change the color of my cheese. I always get nervous that I add too much of something and then I won't like it. But I don't know, it's all part of experimenting while you're baking or cooking. And I think that smells about right. I'm just kind of, like I said, winging it. So, okay, this small kitchen is definitely more difficult to work in. All right, so now out comes your cloth, and this is probably just more or less a napkin. And so what I do is I put it over my strainer and I flip it, and then I get all of my cheese out as best as I can. And then I take the ends and I wrap it and I just twist, because you're trying to get all the remaining whey out of your cheese. So I just twist it and then I hang it on my faucet and I let it sit there for about, oh, I'd say 10 minutes, where I'm satisfied that the fluid has come out. And I make sure that it forms a ball. And there really doesn't seem to be much fluid dripping out of this. So then, for purposes of demonstration, we'll just say that all the fluid's out. And I just place it like this in the bowl. Kind of undo my knot a little bit, because it'll take in the impression of whatever it's sitting in. But this particular little bowl makes kind of like a perfect mold for my cheese, because it comes out round. And through the magic of YouTube, this is a quarter cut of the cheese, and as you can see, it comes out round like the bowl. And so this was my horseradish cheese. So you can see and perhaps you can't see, you can see the depth, it's like a good inch and so thick, and then it's the size of a small bowl that covers it. So obviously, I've been into this cheese, eating it, because it is actually really good, and it's very solid, even though it's still very much a soft cheese. So that's what we're doing today. So I hope you try it. It's easy. You can do this.